Hey there, we're the Westlot Pirates and welcome to the show. We're here to share our thoughts on Northwestern athletics and college sports with thoughts and analysis from the visceral to the statistical. We run our tailgate with the red pirate flag flying high above as we give no quarter, especially the fourth. I'm Sam Walter.
I'm John Lacombe.
And I'm Eric Scouspo.
Well, guys, hopefully everyone's recovered from the NFL draft. We definitely have some Northwestern news to go over there.
Sam, with arms as short as mine are, I don't know that I can ever recover from the NFL draft.
That's fair, yeah.
I think the die's cast for me.
Want to get into the draft here in a sec, but we would be remiss if we didn't lead off with your four-time consecutive Big Ten champion women's lacrosse team. What a Big Ten tournament. Like, oh my goodness gracious. Culminating with just an insane championship game against Maryland, back and forth with, Maryland coming back, tying it up, trying to take a lead with like under a minute to go. Jenica Cuoco standing on her freaking head. 18 saves.
I don't know that back and forth is accurate in that Maryland scored the first goal, didn't score again for until the second half.
Yeah, so
and then
they went back, and then they came up back and forth. So, I mean, it wasn't back and forth,
literally
back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth.
Fourth once, and then Cats win.
Yeah. It was. I mean, Cuoco. Incandescent. We're all so used to. Unbelievable performances at all positions on this lacrosse team, including in goal. That of course is the thing. Molly LaLiberty, right? That amazing run that she had. But Cuoco, this was a performance for the ages, and it's not something that we haven't talked about, right? I mean, I think we've talked about that this has been a thing for this team, is that we are giving up an unbelievable amount of shots, and part of that is the raw caliber of the competition that we're playing. But Cuoco is just the amount of shots that she has faced in the second half of this season and the amount of huge saves that she's made. And then, it just all reached this fever pitch in the Big Ten championship game. 18 saves, 72% save percentage. But, I mean, this is one of those things I definitely am conscious of the fact that a lot of you listening, particularly those of you who are like football first, haven't watched a lot of lacrosse. And there may be part of you that's like, well, isn't part of playing goal for this, like not unlike hockey, just like being there in goal. I mean, I wish I could show you video of every one of these saves, because whoa, Nelly, the reflexes, what she's doing, where it's like, even when these shots are slowed down, you're like, I can still barely see this. And it's also a hard object flying at your face. And she's still just making save after save. Incredible stuff. And it kept us in it. And it's funny, like Maryland pulled those 4 goals back late and mounted that comeback. But it's not like it's not like they hadn't been doing anything up until that point. I mean, again, they were just throwing shots at the goal all game. And she was the difference. I mean, obviously, Annabelle Child, the hero, literally a buzzer-beating goal to win a Big Ten championship. And Sam, you and I were talking before the pod, Noel Cumberland almost produced, at the end of regulation, one of the all-time great plays in Northwestern history. I mean, in a game that had several of those. She almost went coast to coast, literally end to end, and score a goal as regulation expired. It was close.
With 15 seconds left, Cuoco makes a stop, Cats get a turnover and call a timeout, to try to set something up. I figured for sure you'd lob it down the field to try to, set something up. But no, Cumberland's just like, nah, I got it. And she takes off and like, oh, I guess we're just running out the clock. Nope, we're not running out the clock. No, wow, she's really going. Oh, she's got a shot. Oh, and just missed. Oh.
Yeah, it was. But then Child with that shot, I mean, literally at the buzzer expires. But even that shot, unbelievable, legendary shot. That was on the back of Cuoco making 2 saves in a situation where either of those lose you the Big Ten tournament. I mean, it was Just pure excellence. How we continue to generate unbelievable players like this blows me away. But Cuoco, this performance is one of the latest greatest things.
What stood out to me in this game, interestingly, because John, you talk about all the shots that we were facing, and if Northwestern doesn't have roughly 4 goals get called back on violations or fouls of one nature or of another around Maryland's goal, not that takes anything away from Cuoco's performance, but it does take some of the edge off of that shot potential. And I do not recall this being nearly as much of a thing in years past.
There was a conversation about it online in the wake of this game, talking about that it has become a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems so. The men's game this year, in particular, has made a point of emphasis to call a lot more offensive fouls, crease violations, etc. And that hasn't been. I mean, that wasn't like a stated point of emphasis in the women's game, but I can't help. I mean, it's like the one that kills me, and I can't remember if it was Maddie Taylor or the other Taylor, but the Maryland player is basically like blocking her with her leg right off the post.
This was Taylor LaPointe.
Taylor LaPointe, yeah, and she fires it and it goes into the very bottom opposite corner of the net, and I don't know what foul they called her for, but it sure as shit seemed to me like the Maryland player was tackling her with her legs, and they just fell down together in a heap, and I'm like, how is that not a just no call and a goal? And I get it, like it's black and white when you follow through and hit the other player. Or there was a situation where Northwestern and Maryland had like simultaneous yellow cards called on each other because of there was a check and a follow through that hit somebody in the head. So like that sort of stuff makes sense, but man, I was just really surprised at how many of these goals got called back from Northwestern, and it gave. I mean, Maryland had a ton more possessions because of it, and that score differential would have been dramatically different. I mean, Northwestern was up, I think, 7-2 or 6-2 at one point in this game, and it could have been 10-2 very easily.
Yeah, it's amazing. We've talked about Kelly Monte-Hiller and was named the Big Ten Coach of the Year. I mean, shocker.
What?
Sam and I were looking, and they're like, this is like the 4th or 5th time in a row she's like won it. And I was like, who won it the year before that? How is this award ever going to anybody else? But in the context of that, I mean, one of the things I was thinking about is you can look at this amazing run. You can kind of peg it to the North Carolina win and be like, they beat North Carolina on the road when North Carolina was number 1. They beat Maryland on the road when Maryland was number 1. They beat Michigan when Michigan was number 11 and Michigan had just crushed Maryland. And then they turned right around and beat Michigan and Maryland again at the tournament. But all those games that I mentioned were all close. They were all between 4 or down to 1 goal wins, right? And 2 of them were in overtime. And you can look on one hand and be like, well, we're living by the skin of our teeth here. Winning's a skill. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
This is what the best do. I mean, it's like how when hoops this year, when they're like, boy, our luck stat's really bad. And it's like, yeah, but what you do in the closing moments of close games defines what it is. And this team is just built that way. That's why Kelly Monte-Hiller is the greatest coach ever. It's like, this is a team that had literally used the entire clock down to the final second to find the goal that they needed to win a Big Ten championship. It's like, this is what the great teams do. They win all of these games, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, just an awesome run, a great performance, and it's wild because like I was looking today. It's like, well, okay, when the tournament come out? When you hit the NCAA tournament? And that's not for a little while. Like, it's got another week or so before selection. I don't know if it's this Sunday or what is Selection Sunday for lacrosse.
It's the 3rd. Yeah.
Okay, so this upcoming Sunday. So they got the championship. Wait a week before Selection Sunday, and then find out that we'll be probably hosting the first round in Evanston, and then obviously the Final Four will be in Evanston. Is it possible that we don't have to leave town at all?
I mean, that would be great.
Yeah, it'd be incredible. The one thing I was thinking of that was kind of, this was something that was very noticed by Northwestern people, but in the wake of this championship game, I think it was 6 Cats were on the all-tournament team. So it's Maddie Taylor and Jenica Cuoco, obviously, but then Aditi Foster, Noel Cumberland, championship winner, Annabelle Child. All of them were all on the all Big Ten tournament team. There were only 2 first-team all Big Ten Wildcats on this team this year.
Laughable.
And one of them was Madison Taylor, who was not a unanimous selection. And you mentioned 4 in a row championships. Really, it's 8, because Madison Taylor, in her 4 years at Northwestern, has won the regular season Big Ten tournament, the regular season championship and the tournament championship every year. And this is also someone who's pretty undisputably one of, at worst, the 2 greatest players in the country this season. And I don't know. I mean, again, this is tinfoil hat. I think someone got pissy about the non-call on the road at Maryland and decided to just spite Doc Guts. Because, I mean, there's no explanation for it. Are you kidding me? Like, this is one of the best players in the country, one of the 2 best players in the country, and someone didn't vote her for first team all Big Ten. Like, a joke. But, again, poke the bear, see what happens. Because, like, right now, this team is, they are dialed in. And you're getting the very best.
This is wild. I'm just like looking at StubHub right now for lacrosse tickets. Like, there's barely any seats available. I'm just looking right now. 2 general admission tickets are $121, and then 2 tickets for reserved for the final are $1,067.
Whoa, man.
Hooah.
Boy. Hey, I mean, they're very likely going to break attendance records. Like, it's awesome. Like,
it's going to sell out Martin Stadium.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This will rewrite attendance records in the sport, and deservedly so. It's fantastic. But yeah, it's going to be, furiously knocking wood that Cats, the way they're playing right now.
Exactly. Let's not put the cart before the horse here, but it is something to think about as we get closer and closer to the end of May. Want to talk about the NFL draft? I mean, everyone who was able to join us for our live draft pod with Gary and Chris on last Thursday. Enjoyable as always. Yeah.
Congratulations to Eric Scousbo.
Woo!
Oh yeah.
Awesome. I don't think my Vikes have drafted a Northwestern player in the however many years it's been since I became a Northwestern fan.
Didn't they draft a Foddy?
I think
no. He was a UFA, wasn't he?
Oh, no, yeah. he got. I thought he was a 4th rounder, wasn't he?
Foddy Atenebo. NFL draft 7th round.
7th round. Okay.
Yeah, 7th round with the Vikings. Okay, so let me rephrase. A 3rd round pick is a different order of magnitude.
Completely.
And that's not to take anything from Afade, but like, and he stuck with the Vikings and played with them for a couple of years. But like to have a Northwestern player's name called on day 2 of the NFL draft, to have Mel Kiper talking about this being, whatever you think about Mel Kiper is talking about Caleb Tarrant as one of the best value picks in the entire draft because of where he thought he belonged in the pecking order and where he ultimately went. And that's the sort of thing we haven't typically seen with Northwestern players. And for it to be my team, offensive line is a huge need for the Vikes. Tarrant is going to have an awesome opportunity to play there. This is, Kevin O'Connell is a offensive-minded head coach. They got a lot of exciting things going on. Whether you like Kyler Murray or not, it's going to be some vibes in Minnesota this year, and we'll see what happens. But they're going to be trying to pound the ball down other teams' throats, and I think Tiernan has an opportunity to be a big part of that.
The thing in the background. I mean, I'm so glad again that he went.
And I can't wait to know what number is it going to be. What number is it going to be? Might be time for New Jersey.
How about 64? Or did you guys retire that? Like, I don't know.
I mean, if he's 64, like that is my number. That is like
right.
as evidenced by my Randall McDaniel jersey that I purchased in 1998.
Right.
That
That's
still
what
have.
I was going to say.
And it's the number I've been wearing for hockey for the better part of 7 years now.
Right. So,
my kid wears 64 now as a
Love
result.
it.
So
Love it.
Hey, I mean, Tiernan was what, 72 at Northwestern or 73?
72.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, well, it'd be awesome if it happened. The obvious aside to all of this, I mean, I'm so glad that he went on day 2. I mean, that was because that's where he deserved to go. Everyone thought he deserved to go a lot higher. Obviously, based on the pecking order and the way everyone had tackles ranked. I mean, we were talking on the draft show that it seemed like there was an outside chance that he might slip into round 1. And then at the start of round 2, I mean, again, it seemed like so many teams had gotten their tackle, and then like a lot of people weren't drafting tackles. But then a couple more tackles went ahead of him, and I think we all kind of watched this arm length thing jump the shark in real time. I mean, I think back to the NBA draft and how there were a couple of years. It's like the Wilhelm scream before everybody like realized what the Wilhelm scream was. And it's like when Jay Billis used to talk about length all the time, and then people realized that it was getting to the point of almost being a parody. And then people would make fun of him anytime he did. I mean, people are going to look back at this thing with the arm length, and I'm not saying that there's not data that backs it up, but like at this point, the tail is wagging the dog.
There's data, but let's talk about the real numbers. So the like NFL, meat market dudes are like 34 inches. Your arm's got to be 34 inches or longer. Well, Caleb Tiernan's arms are 33 and a half inches. What are we talking about, people?
Yeah, right.
Now, I think some of it is ratio because he is tall and he's big, and that was the thing that Kuiper liked about him so much. I think a legitimate reason that he fell, not because of the arm length, but because when Skoronski went, there was kind of a question of like, oh, is he a tackle? Is he a guard? Like he could probably play either. Tiernan's, I believe, taller than Skoronski.
Yeah.
And
Skoronski's tall, but Tiernan's really tall.
Yeah, and I think teams will legitimately be a bit more concerned about moving Tiernan inside because of his height and what that does for visibility for a quarterback and passing lanes, etc. And as a result, some of the tackles that you saw going before him that were rated below him were guys that had more of that positional versatility. And Tiernan has that positional versatility, but there are some systems and some coaches that won't put a 6'8" guy at guard. And so that's not his fault. That's a structural NFL thing. The arm length, I feel like, was just a stupid talking point that,
and then just watch it just get beat into the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, and Tiernan wasn't the only one. I mean, it was just getting mentioned ad nauseum all the time. And again, I'm just like, it's like you said, it's like someone drew an arbitrary line in the sand.
Ruben Baines got short arms apparently.
Yeah, right.
I know. Jesus, I watched that guy destroy every good team he played except for one. So,
and that's the thing with Tiernan is like there's so much tape on him. His college tape is all really good, but then he went to the combine and everyone agreed looked great in the combine. But again, it's like this lemming theory with the arm. So I mean, it's dumb. But again, next year, heading into the draft, it's going to be a joke that everyone's going to be making. And it's like, I just feel like this will be, I mean, it's not that there's not validity to it, but people are really going to start making fun of this. But again, it's like, it was really annoying in the moment. But again, I mean, the bottom line is Tiernan was a day 2 selection. He's going to the Vikes, which is fantastic. WLP family. He stays in purple. And he's not the only one staying in purple. Which is another cool
pick 64, Caleb. Pick 64.
Speaking of staying in purple, Evan Beardson going in the 7th round to Baltimore.
What a perfect opportunity for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you know, I think back to we had Kevin Fishbane on last week, and Fishbane was talking about the general view that Berenson had really helped himself by coming to Northwestern in the draft, and is like that you needed some of that FBS tape, and it was really, you know, fitting. Like, to me, I mean, again, I was like, that deserved to be validated, and him going in the 7th round. I mean, we'd like to see him go early. We'd like to see all these guys get picked, but that felt like a validation to it. And again, for someone like, I mean, I watched the entire 6th and 7th round just waiting for guys to go. And whatever it was like 5 picks to the end or whatever. It was like such a shot in the arm to see him go. And I think everyone was so excited. And like Scott said, it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, getting picked is great. You want, like, what we really want is for these guys to get picked and then stick.
Yep.
And Baltimore is a system that really wants mobile offensive linemen because of everything they do with Lamar and with Derrick Henry and misdirection, and a mobile lineman like Berenstein is going to have a ton of opportunity to make his hay there, and it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, and then we get into the undrafted guys. Aiden Hubbard signs with the Seahawks. We got Fred Davis with the Commanders, Josh Thompson with the Chiefs.
Some parallels with Hubbard, you know. Brooks Barnheiser also went to the reigning champions and carved out a reserve role. Maybe Hubbard could do the exact same thing.
Yeah, and then we got Carmine Bastone got minicamp invites with both the Chiefs and the Jets. Preston Stone got an invite with the Niners. Martez Lewis got an invite with the Commanders. So, gosh, I mean, Thompson signs with the Chiefs. If Carmine goes to the Chiefs too, I love these guys so much, and it burns me to see them in friggin' Chiefs red and gold. But
we'll be happy to get you. I'm sure the Bastone family will be happy to get you a Carmine Bastone Chiefs jersey. I'm sure.
For anyone who watched our draft knows that, like, I really wanted the Vikings to draft Thieneman in the first round, the safety out of Oregon,
yeah,
or out of Purdue via
Oregon, yeah.
And they didn't, and they made a less ideal choice in my opinion. But then what really stung was the Bears drafting him later. But that's just like, I just don't like the Bears. It being your like a guy, and Thieneman's not a college guy that I loved or anything. So I like this stings in multiple ways. I get it, Sammy.
The one that amazes to me, I mean, again, I'm like, all these guys. I mean, Thompson to get that contract and land with the Chiefs was great. I mean, that's a guy who I think, you know, probably it's like, that's one of those guys where it gets down towards the 7th round. And like you said, like, we love to see all these guys get picked, but you know, if you're not getting drafted at that point, it's like, okay, do you have a relationship with the team? Find your best fit. If that's with the Chiefs, like, that's great. Carmine Bastone is the wild one for me. I mean, I'm glad he's in 2 camps, which is great. And that's a guy who only knows how to work and has never been handed anything. I mean, right? Like, this is a guy who had to earn his offer to Northwestern, and then had to earn his scholarship, and then had to earn the captaincy, and then had to earn, you know, being an all Big Ten honorable mention player, and then earn the number 1 jersey. So it's like, this has been his entire football life. Like, all he knows how to do is earn a spot when when people are counting him out. And I think, like, that's the big thing. But I mean, it really, you know, it shows you he's not 6'5", 330, right? And for the guys who just are, like, that's one of those things, because so many of the teams will be like, you know, I can coach this guy up or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but at some point you got to step back and be like, this is one of the best, you know, interior, like whatever they call it, like 2-gap players, like, just that, you know, and like, it's not like he's small, he's just not tall. But you're talking, he's huge, he's strong, he tested well. You know, and you're getting him just into your mini camp. Like, I think he's going to show out. Like, it's a potential steal for both of these teams.
I think the hope for Carmine is that he can show out as a bit of an option on third downs, as a DT that can rush the passer. I mean, we saw that at Northwestern plenty of times against plenty of NFL offensive line talent across the Big Ten. The structural issue that is holding him back is that defensive tackles, in particular in the NFL, are space eaters because of the way defensive ends and edge players change the way that defensive lines operate. Like you want so much, you need so much more space eating in your DTs, and so those guys are, 6'8" and 350. That's the guy the Vikings drafted in the first round, right? They're looking for 80-inch wingspans and just massive humans that are going to eat up multiple blockers and let linebackers and edge players roam free. And that's not Bastone, and that's not a shot at him. But he's gonna have to find his way through a less typical path because of that structural restriction.
And because these are like invites, it's so rare that those turn into actual contracts. But like getting those reps on tape, getting in there, getting in front of people, opens doors to maybe Canada or the UFL. There are.
Well, I mean, look at Blake Hance, who went undrafted. He was signed as a UDFA, but was released, before the end of May. When bounced around to a couple other teams, and then all of a sudden, like a year and a half later, he gets called up by Cleveland, and because of injuries and other issues, like all of a sudden he's starting for the Cleveland Browns in the NFL, and ended up playing a few more years. I think he might be done at this point.
I don't know, but you randomly see him from time to time, just like, wait, he's still, wow, that's awesome, good for him.
Right.
He was on a 1-year contract with Tennessee last year, and so nothing since then. But who knows? Like it's like I had a guy that I went to high school with who ended up being basically a sixth man on O-line in the NFL for a long time. He was with St. Louis, with the Vikings for a little bit, and it's like one of the best gigs if like similar to backup QB. If you're smart enough to understand different blocking schemes and move around and be that depth player, like that can be a fantastic opportunity. So these mini camps and these UDFA opportunities like really matter. Not just for the other leagues around that you guys mentioned, but for the NFL itself.
Sure. And finding a fit with a particular team. I think of Dean Lowry. Dean Lowry stuck with the Packers and found a specific role with the Packers. And he found his fit, and the team liked him, and it was just a good fit of player and team, and suddenly signing a $20 million contract. Like, I mean, it's all wide open for these guys. I mean, for a guy like Carmine, put him in, like I said, I mean, like, this guy's been counted out every step of the way and has succeeded. So put him in a couple camps and let's see what happens.
So we'll keep an eye, and maybe Preston Stone signed today on Monday. So like there still might be a couple more trickling through as teams fill out their mini camp rosters, their rookie spotlights, things like that. We might hear some more news of a couple other guys here or there. Not sure, but we'll keep an eye out for it and see what happens. If you or a loved one is seriously injured by someone else's negligence, hire Kent Simpson of the Simpson Law Group. After over a decade prosecuting murder cases in Chicago, Simpson opened his own firm focused on wrongful death and personal injury cases. He specializes in car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and other transportation accidents, as well as construction accidents, medical negligence, slip and falls, product liability, and more. Millions recovered for clients, no fee unless he wins. The Simpson Law Group. Compassion, empathy, and vigorous advocacy. Go to simpsonlawgroup.com or call 312-332-2107 for a free consultation, and go Cats. Turning our attention to softball, oh my goodness. They are on a
really
absolute tear. What, 10 in a row now?
10 in a row.
Yep.
Wow.
10 in a row against good teams. And again, you trace it all back to the Oregon series that they should have won. And that game remains this ridiculous thing because if the Cats
hang on. I gotta go. I got a flight to catch.
I got a plane to catch. I know. If that game, if Bridget Donahue is able to finish her friggin' at bat, and the Cats get that comeback win that we know was coming, they'd be tied with Washington for 4th right now, as it is they're tied with Indiana for 5th. But their top 4 teams get a bye in the tournament. But I think I saw something that they're something like the equivalent of ranking of like something like 35th, something like that in the nation right now. I mean, this team is a rocket ship, and it's a mix of, we've mentioned her name a million times. Marina Mason's one of the 3 best first year pitchers in the nation, and the other 2 are both at Alabama. She is incandescent, and had two more amazing outings this weekend. I think she may have even come in the second game too,
in
potentially
a jam. Like she came
in
with
jam.
runners on base,
right? And she's just absolutely incredible. And then it's wild. In game 3 of this series, I think Purdue was no hitting us for a while, but I think it was a true pitcher's duel, and we ended up winning it 1-0. But this is Sam. Mason. We've talked about weeks. We've talked about Emma Ray too. It's worth listing some of the numbers with Emma Ray though, because they're ridiculous. This is as arguably, I don't know the rankings. She's easily the best catcher in the Big Ten. Nationally, I bet she's top 5. She's batting .391, 1.277 OPS. She's slugging .789, 54 RBIs, 13 home runs, 8 doubles. Just absolute on base percentage, .488. She's destroying the ball. But we've got 5 players hitting at least .313. Emma, Kaylee, Bridget, Kelsey, Grace are all crushing the ball. And Kansas has lifted her average. We talked about, kind of the issues that Kansas has been having, but she's been hitting the ball a lot better lately. She's lifted it up to 266, but she's third on the team in home runs right now. Emma Ray, Bridget Donahue, and Kansas Robinson combined have 34 home runs. This team is just kicking ass right now. They're just really good, and at the best possible time. And again, here's hoping that when they were robbed of is not going to cost them too much, but they are rolling into the end of the season here.
I got to quibble with one thing you said. 10 wins in a row. Purdue and Penn State are decent teams that are middle of the pack with Northwestern in the Big Ten. Michigan State's bottom of the barrel.
Right.
That is a bad team. As we go into this final weekend, luckily for Northwestern, they get to play another pretty bad team in Minnesota and have a great chance to win 3 more games. To get that first round bye, as you mentioned, they've got to leapfrog Indiana, who unfortunately gets to play Illinois this weekend, who is the second, tied with Michigan State as the worst team in the conference, 0-12 at home. Yikes. So,
we're responsible for 3 of those.
Yes, we are. And then Washington is playing Ohio State. That is, that's Ohio State is right there in the middle of the conference, around 500. Those are home games for Ohio State, where they're 7-2, I believe. So there's a shot here for Northwestern to jump up in the standings if they take care of business, and Indiana and Washington have maybe a little bit of trouble. We could be looking at that first round bye opportunity. But either way, this is going to be a nice way to finish the season and set the Cats up for hopefully what will be a fun postseason run.
Yeah, I think the goal right now probably is do enough damage at the end of the season in the Big Ten tournament to snag one of those at-large spots. And the way they're playing right now, that is for sure in play.
Baseball is not having the kind of season we'd hoped. They definitely showed some flashes a little while ago, but
I know it's just the pitching is the primary issue, but it's just against the best teams. We kind of talked about that they were entering that crucial back half of the schedule with everything in front of them, and they've lost, 9, 10 in a row in the Big Ten, something like that. They're tied for last in the conference now. It's a real bummer. I think, again, sometimes the bats will abandon them in, against the top pitching. But ultimately, I think it's the battery. These teams, some of these teams are just blowing holes in us. And as we've established, there's a lot of guys who can hit. And, just today was another example of that. And the guys can hit, but it's just not there. And a bunch of them that could have gone our way haven't gone our way. So yeah, it's a bummer. We're not getting the kind of season we were hoping that we were going to get at the midway point.
And it's been a minute since we've talked basketball. The transfer portal is churning. We had 8 guys go in. A lot of them have found homes.
couple surprising homes.
Yeah,
frankly.
Yes, indeed.
Cade Brennerman going to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jaden Reed, even Memphis. But I mean, yeah, North Carolina. I mean,
Memphis doesn't surprise me. The North
Yeah, it's
Carolina
not like
one was a shock.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I think the larger point, and I was talking with someone this weekend that I'm not going to name, but like a friend of the pod. But it's just like I mean, on one hand, look, like, however things go this season, and I hope they go awesome. Like, I hope that this all gels and coalesces, and that it all comes together. And if it doesn't, honestly, like, I wouldn't hold it on Chris Collins. Like, I think that, I mean, well, here, I mean, my point being, like, this is something where you heard David Braun and you heard Chris Collins both say a very specific thing, very specific, that Northwestern needs to hire a president. And both of them implied the same thing, that until we get that full-time president hire, that things are not going to be able to get completely ironed out here. And I would say that if you're looking for proof of that, you can evaluate what's going on here. And look, again, I'm not saying, like, I want the very
hold on.
best.
Let's be a little more specific.
Yeah,
this is a money issue.
right, exactly. That's what it is. That this is a money issue, and it's one of the discussions I was having this week. Is like this weekend is like it's not that anyone's saying no. It's not that anyone's saying you can't go after this player, you can't go after this player, but I think that, like, what Collins and Braun are both implying here is that, like, aside from over and above that 20 and a half allocated money, you're not going to be seeing any other funds come out of the sky to allow you to, for example, match what Iowa State's offering Trey Singleton, just for example, or what North Carolina's potentially offering Cade Bennerman. Like, those kind of things. And again, that's not to say that people don't want to allocate that money, but those are big financial decisions. And there's probably a situation where everyone's looking around being like, all right, who rubber stamps this? And people being like, well, the president would rubber stamp this, but right now we have Henry Beenan in an interim role, and we need to get a full-time president here so that we can start locking all of these things in place. And I guess I say all of that to be like, I think we will find those solutions. And I don't think that what you've seen this season is going to be replicated in further seasons. But I think we can all step back and be like, look, you can look at this macro and just let's be realistic here. If you look at the destinations of the guys who've left, it's North Carolina, Memphis, Iowa State, Washington State, Providence, and UMass.
And James
if
Madison,
you look at the guys
KJ
coming
Wyndham
in,
went to James Madison.
right, and Madison,
Blake
and
Smith
Wyndham
went to
going
Oral
Madison.
Roberts.
And if you look, Smith was a walk-on. But if you look at inbound, it's BYU, Bellarmine, UCSB, Drake, Northeastern, and Mount St. Mary's. And it's just like those two things are not the same. It's like the two pots are totally different sets of pots. Again, that's not to say that we didn't bring in good players. And I hope that all of these guys work. And I hope that this is all like this special sauce and that we found all this awesome value and stretched our NIL dollars to pull in the very best guys. And that's great. But we're at the point now where you can look and you be like, we have all of these guys who went out the door who are all viewed as high major players, and we have all of these guys coming in who were not high major players until they showed up at Northwestern. And it's like, if you photocopy that 5 times in a row in 5 consecutive seasons, it's just not going to work. Like, the math doesn't work in that situation. But I don't believe that's going to be the case. But I also believe, I'm kind of just clear-eyed about this, and I'm like, there's a chance this doesn't work. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to be poking fingers or shaking my fist at Chris Collins because I just don't think that this has been sorted out yet. Like Scott said, like, the money, I don't think the money's been sorted out yet. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to get sorted out until we get a president.
So I'm on a very different track because I think what you just articulated in terms of like where players are coming from that are coming to Northwestern. And let me stop. I totally agree with you. This might not work. The guys that we're getting in, it might not work. There's a very specific reason for it, which I'll say in a second. I think wherever our current players went is a total red herring. I think it's totally meaningless. I think in the world that we're playing in college basketball, it's meaningless. A center that didn't play for us going to UNC is a little anxiety inducing, but like, let's see Trey Single didn't do something more than hit 16% of his 3-pointers next year.
I mean,
and if he does, like, so if he goes to Iowa State and he hits 40% of his 3-pointers, then yeah, this talk track, I'm totally buying in. If he goes to Iowa State and plays an interior power forward role and is awesome, that is a direct indictment of Chris Collins and how he used that player and didn't develop him in ways that mattered to that player. And this is something we've heard in the past. When we had Jordan Ash on the show, and he talked about this staff likes to develop, like, they have specific roles for players in their offense.
Yeah.
And in their system. And if you don't fit, they're going to develop you for the role in their system. They're not going to develop your basketball skills overall. And I think that is it was a major problem 5 years ago in terms of retaining talent. And I think it's a potentially a major problem now. I also think it could be a nothing burger. Like we knew Jaden Reed was not the right guy for this team. He is really fast, ton of handles, can score. Like, Memphis now is not what Memphis was when Derrick Rose was there. So I'm not going to jump off a building because of that happened.
Fit is like a thing. I'm like, I wish we still had Jaden Reed. I get what you're saying.
Really? I want the ball in West's hands, and that's not a shot at Reed. That's just like I think West looks awesome.
But I also look at it and I'm like, things just. There were a bunch of times this past season where things just didn't work, and Jaden Reed kind of had to come in and carry things. And I'm just looking, and I guess one of the other things I'm thinking about too is we have a bunch of guys coming in who are all conference players from small conferences who, like, one of the big things with them is they can shoot. It's all conference guys who can shoot really well.
Yep.
And that was Max Green's pedigree coming in. Max Green was Patriot League Freshman of the Year, and he was thought of as like a knockdown shooter. And he's transferred out, and he's not going to UNC, Memphis, Iowa State, Washington State, or Providence. He's going to Charleston.
Yeah. Well, we just don't know why he got benched late in the year. Was it an injury? Was it something else? He was fighting for playing time early.
But I think like a lot of people are looking at being like, yeah, but his shot took like so long to get off, and like he was a defensive liability. And it's like, you pulled in a guy who was a Patriot League all conference player who had a shooting. I'm like, this sometimes happens when guys move up from small conferences to the Big Ten level. And I mean, that's where I'm saying, where I'm like, we're pulling in so many of these guys. Again, I'm not being a negative Nelly just to be like, I hope it all works. I hope all these pieces fit.
I'm not calling you a negative Nelly. I just disagree.
I'm
disagreeing because here's the problem for me. The problem for me is that, like, if you take these players that we're bringing in and kind of replace them one for one with the guys that we lost, I feel pretty good about what is coming together. The problem is that there's no anchor player. There's no Nick Martinelli to build a team around. If this was a year ago and we were bringing in these very efficient, highly effective shooters, especially from three, and you were going to put them around a team that featured Nick Martinelli as that anchor in the middle, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
We don't have that player in 2026.
Well, we don't. I mean, if Jake West...
Jake West could be... Jake West could take another league.
That'd be a dramatic difference from the way that Northwestern has played basketball under Collins for years. Now, a 5 guys around the perimeter, West driving and dishing like that seems like the plausible approach, right? Because we don't have a guy to play the Nicholson pick and roll move off, right? We've got the incoming 7-2 guy who's pretty raw. We've got a pretty solid replacement for Trey Singleton, and maybe he can emerge and be that player in the middle. But that's where the math falls down for me. It doesn't matter where these guys came from. It's that we don't have the Martinelli replacement on the front line.
100%. There's a bunch of guys where you can look and be like, yeah, this guy was used, like Colin Smith, for example. You go back to when he was at Vanderbilt, and it's like, they had this guy take open threes when it was an option, and he hit some open threes in some big games, including in the NIT quarterfinal against Michigan. But he was not an alpha. And even for some of these guys who were more primary guys, most of these small teams that they were from were not 20-win teams. They're like 16 and 14 small conference teams. I mean, there's no one jumping out where you're like, and I think is it Kostick? Is that his name from BYU?
Alexei Kostick,
supporting player, shooter. Right? It's like there's no one jumping out to be like, this is the alpha, this is the sun around which everything else orbits. And yeah, I mean, again, it's like I'm like, I guess sort of acting like, if Cade Bennerman's playing legit minutes for UNC this year, a lot of people are going to be really pissed off.
I'll be pissed off because why didn't we play that dude?
Right.
And this has been a theme. It's been a theme for years. It was a theme with KJ. It's been a theme with Sheravino. Collins does not play young players. It was a problem for Fitz too. Yeah. Well, it's going to bite you in the ass, dude.
Yeah. I mean, so that will for sure piss me off. I mean, and the other and again, I'm like, I have a lot of trepidation for how this coming season is going to go. But I mean, again, what I'm not going to do is, if this all goes south and if all of these guys, if we get very little return on all these guys coming in, I'm not going to be like, well, this is the way that it's going to be now. Like, I guess we better get used to this sad new world, because it's not. That's not. We are very much living in this goofy, unfortunate situation that extends from the president on down. And it's, again, and the chairs are still moving in this crazy world, and we need to get a solid administration in place so that we can put together specific plans of action. We're going to do all that, and it's going to happen, but we ain't there yet.
Two things can be true. Yeah. That is all true. We also might need a coach that has a more flexible approach to player development and working with the skills and the guys that he has. And that's also put me back in. I am back in 2021, 2022. What's pre-Boo Booey tournament season? That's where my head's at right now.
I don't want to go back there.
I don't want to go back there either. But that's where my head is at where it comes to Collins. I think he is a good coach. For full stop. You cannot look at what he's achieved at Northwestern, what he did this past year, even some of the big games, etc., and not say he's a good coach. But he has major flaws, and I think some of those flaws could be fatal flaws at this school, where you have to be more adaptable and flexible and willing to play young players than he has demonstrated in his time.
One other thing to note is we're not done too. I mean, we have
So maybe something
still
comes
a few more shoes to drop here. I think.
Can I also call bullshit on something? I get it that there's no president to sign off, but $300,000, the reported or the rumored differential between what we were offering Trey Singleton and what Iowa State was offering Trey Singleton, that's less than 1% of our athletic budget. If our big deal Villanova USC athletic director can't make some waves on that front, there's a person who can say yes. There's a person who can say yes, and hey, Henry Beaning can say yes. We're not talking about a $600 million investment in a new stadium here. We're talking about something on a much smaller order, and so I don't disagree. I think it is clearly a problem, and when there's not a person at the top, it creates all sorts of power vacuums and difficulties within the organization when it comes to priorities and when it comes to motivating interest of donors, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there's a reason that presidents exist. The idea that they literally can't do anything is I'm struggling with a little bit.
Yeah. I will say this, I'll frame this maybe on our way out of this issue as the positive. If Chris Collins can turn Jake West, Angelo Sheravino, two true freshmen, and guys from BYU, Bellarmine, UCSB, Drake, Northeastern, and Mount St. Mary's into a quality team. That is some Kurt Signetti shit. And hang that in the rafters right next to his 3 tourney trips, because that's impressive stuff. If we can make that
Miami of Ohio style, like just shoot early and often from 3, and if we're 40%, like hey,
yeah, hey, let's make it. Let's see it happen.
Anything else to mention before you get out of here tonight, guys?
The last thing I would say is, so like Sam mentioned it earlier, but the Minnesota series in Rosemont for softball, May 1st, 2nd, 3rd. This is your last chance to watch the Cats play at their home away from home. The new J hopefully will be in place for next season.
From what I hear, it'll be ready for fall ball.
Yeah, so I mean they're closing in on it, which is awesome. But this is, a last chance to see this team. And again, it's like, hopefully we'll get some good weather Friday, Saturday, Sunday here, but these will be the last 3 home games for this team. And you want to go see this team. They are cooking with gas right now. This is a team where everything's rolling into place. Like, they are cresting. They're playing their best softball of the season. And you want to get your chance to watch the best catcher in the conference, and darned if she ain't closing in on being the best pitcher in the conference too, in Marina Mason. So get out and watch this team.
Saturday night, 7:00. Sunday evening, 5:00. If you can take a half day on Friday, it's a 1:00 start on Friday. So opportunities, get out there, and the Big Ten tournament comes up.
Yeah,
next week. It's in Maryland, so. Last chance.
Yeah, some plays like a player like Grace Nito, who are like, Grace goes all the way back to the Women's College World Series season. When she was a freshman, manning second base, and she's still there now. And Sunday's going to be senior day for her. So yeah, get out and support this team.
There should be home NCAA, or home is the wrong term, but there should be NCAA lacrosse tournament games at Northwestern May 8th, 9th, into Mother's Day weekend. Hopefully the Cats get a top 4 seed, and that is the case, but get excited about that. And then mid-May, NU Day at Wrigley.
May 19th.
Where the baseball team gets to play at Wrigley Field May 19th. So there's lots of fun stuff coming up this spring.
So with that, we'll go ahead and leave it there for tonight. Head to our website, westlawpirates.com, where you can leave comments and questions. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube, at Westlaw Pirates. You can always email us, westlawpirates@gmail.com. Tune in next time as we give our visceral and statistical views on Northwestern athletics, and look for us in the west side of Bryan Field flying the red pirate flag, because we give no quarter, especially the fourth. For John Lacombe and Eric Skasby, I'm Sam Walter. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.